Almost immediately after the Pokemon Presents, I did a breakdown of the Paldea region map because this is the first open world Pokemon game we've ever had, and the region looks insane. All kinds of different environments. Which path will you choose? How will your story unfold? And I just wanted to get lost in it because going off the first trailer when we see like the grid on the little bit of in-game map we see, maybe the region is kind of small, but there's so many details, so many places to get lost. It looks amazing. I have confidence that the exploration is going to be insane, but in that video, I neglected to mention this crazy vortex thing in the center. There's like a little weather tower or some kind of research facility, and I've noted that, but that's kind of it, because what can you make of this? There's nothing to do with this information. It's kind of like going, hey, you see that island over there? That's going to be like this island feature that has multiple little areas, and then you can play with your Pokemon there and get resources. You know, there's like little details in the map you can't really figure out. Sure, that's the Aether Foundation, and they might be evil, but will they be, and what's that? I guess that was kind of shown in the trailer, but, you know, trying to pick apart every little detail usually ends up not being worth it. And something like this, clearly going to be related to the story, but the story is doing weird things we've never seen before in Pokemon because you get to choose your own adventure, and you can freely go back and forth between all three stories, allowing your adventure to develop in the way you want it to. Okay, so yeah, we got the gym challenge, we got what looks to be the villain teams, and then some kind of treasure hunt, or maybe finding out about the secrets of the story. And then the Pokemon community went, nah fam, that's where AZ fired the ultimate weapon. And after watching the cutscene, nah fam, that's where AZ fired the ultimate weapon. Like, it lines up when you just see this crazy, like, orbital cannon attack leaving a crater in the region that AZ was warring with, and it seems like, yeah, if I fire just a pure death ray, using legendary Pokemon energy and also the souls of Pokemon, probably create something like this. And the more you look into it, it's like, it makes a lot of sense, because we have the Kalos region being based in France, we have the Paldea region being based in Spain. We've actually seen multiple interpretations of how Pokemon War goes, and if we're talking about thousands of years ago, you're not going to be doing some crazy long-distance warfare. It's usually going to be feuding over territories with your neighbors or close-by empires. And we've also seen that like Lucario and Mystery of Mew. It's like, yeah, the war is pretty hands-on. You know, it makes sense for the times. So, what about geography? Because we have France and we have Spain and we have the regions representing them, and the maps line up. You look at the Paldea region map, what's that on the northeast? We don't know. Seems like impassable terrain. A lot of the region maps just have clouds blocking off areas we never ever see again. That also kind of goes into Kalos in the southwest. Yeah, we have terrain matching Spain and France. This has also led to a lot of speculation like, oh man, Pokemon Z version, 2 regions. It's gonna be like Kanto and Johto all over again. Never happened, but also like still kind of wondering like, when are we going to go back to Kalos? When are we going to go and get expansion on Kalos? Because there's so many mysteries and weird things, and also foresight put into Kalos. Generation 7, the Alola region, years off, with a game like Omega Ruby and Alpha, well, not like, but a game Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire in between. Strange souvenir, you find that in Koroway. Koroway also having the strange train that goes to a far off region, and then has like a lot of other trainers represented from other regions, but didn't really get fully explained or figured out. Does this train end up going to the Paldea region? Are we just never going to see that? Because there's a lot of unnamed regions and areas in the Pokemon world, but it's kind of cool that this speculation opens up in its own weird way once again. But then you have to like think about Pokemon X and Y in general. We got Kalos for 1 year, and until Pokemon Sword and Shield, it was the only time we've only had a region for a single game, because, you know, Kanto, people are tired of how many times we've been to Kanto. Johto, that got a remake. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire got a remake. And at least with, like, Pokemon Black and White 2 and Pokemon Black and White, yeah, the upper version, the enhanced version, ended up being the region again. There were also changes to the story, changes to the region. We saw this with Platinum version, but we also get the revisit and all these other things. And then when you look at Pokemon Sword and Shield, we got 3 years of the Galar region and then DLC to enhance it and kind of supplement the gameplay. But looking back on Pokemon X and Y, it was a crazy and wild time because we get this ambitious game. It was fresh. It brought back a lot of people. I considered it like a grand renaissance of Pokemon because I hadn't seen people that interested in Pokemon in a long time because Generation 5, all my friends hated it. A lot of old school Pokemon fans weren't for it. Generation 4 was kind of when people were falling out. So, and then like also the internet starting to bring people together more in 2013. At the time, social media seemed like pretty crazy. Now it's everything. But October 2013, and then it just got thrown away. None of the resources reused, no Z version. We just go straight into Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which then has the very rare occurrence where we get a year off in a Pokemon game. So we get 2 years of the Hoenn region on the remakes, and then no revisit of Pokemon X and Y or the Kalos region since 2013. Almost a decade. And then there's just other weird loose ends when it comes to the Kalos region because Zygarde. Okay, so yeah, this is where it makes sense to get a Z version or something like that. Now, it was said in interviews by Game Freak, we didn't get a Z version because that would be too predictable. It's why we got Black and White 2 instead of Gray version because Game Freak likes surprising us. So they said they wanted to tie together Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, or like the remake, into Pokemon X and Y as the soft sequel. But that doesn't change. We didn't go back to the region and it didn't have like a crazy kind of tie-in. And then somehow we get more of Zygarde's story in the Alola region in a generation removed from Generation 6 than we did like just off that. Like, oh, Zygarde's just this third legendary Pokemon. You expect to see it just hiding in a tunnel. That's it. We'll not elaborate any further. Going off the anime, going off the movies, because there was also teasers at this time where like someone was at the end of one of the movies went, yo, this strange little spooky thing popped on the screen. Is it the pre-evolution of Duskull? It's squishy. I don't know what's going on here. So there were like these representations kind of building up and then just nothing. Which has really just made people want to go back to Kalos in some kind of capacity. And immediately when, like, the first trailer dropped, before we even had the map, it's like, well, at least Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's region is based in Spain. We're going back to Kalos. Now, open world game kind of makes that weird because, like, no one's like, you have this whole open world thing, and then you go post-game, and then you have the entire other region of the Kalos region. I think that kind of takes away from the uniqueness of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in the open world. But it does open up for some potential DLC if Game Freak thought that was successful enough with the Olive Armor and Crown Tundra kind of supplementing Pokemon Sword and Shield. I believe that if you buy Sword and Shield and the DLC, you have one of the best Pokemon experiences just right there. Kind of like how if you skip Pokemon Sun and Moon, just go to Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Generation 7, actually really, really good. So the weird thing is, like, how big does that game get if you patch in an entire high-fidelity full exploration region on top of this and how that interacts with the story. But maybe it is going to be that we get 2 years of this. You know, it's going to be like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. We get to sit on this for a while, maybe some extra little DLC padding out the region, and then the next game, maybe the final game on the Switch, maybe the first game on the next generation console. Who even knows at this time? But it was said like a year or two ago that Nintendo Switch is only halfway through, so maybe the final game on the Nintendo Switch is going to be a Kalos remake. Just kind of skipping ahead, or at least tying it in with Paldea. Maybe we get to revisit. Now, like I said, then the game size, I think, starts becoming an issue on the Nintendo Switch. So it's kind of opening those doors if this theory kind of pans out. And yeah, it seems like it. This can be explained by other things, so it doesn't like confirm or deny anything. It just looks like Game Freak setting up some kind of hint that they've put a lot of detail into the story, into this history, then they threw it away with Pokemon Legends, but we don't talk about that. And at this time, it explains it in a really cheeky and cool Game Freak way while filling in the gaps that just don't make a lot of sense. Dual region Pokemon game would be awesome, but again, I think like the technology can we even like afford 2 full regions anymore? Because like that's pretty crazy. The only thing I can think of that doesn't make sense is that if you watch the story, the death cannon kind of hooks in a weird direction that isn't going like down into the left. But I mean, if you're just firing like a laser into space and you have some kind of crazy control of it because it directly struck a town, yeah, then it can just swoop and zoop around. But it's not like, oh yeah, that completely debunks it, and all these other things completely confirm it. But it is something to keep an eye on. And the most compelling part is that. So, we got some cool stuff going on. Or maybe Kalos is just, we gotta wait until the black and white remake, and then we finally go to Kalos like 20 years later. Who even knows? But hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. It's gonna be cool to see how this plays out. Maybe it's just story stuff. Thank you very much for watching.